All right. I want to play a clip of a black man who is the proverbial. I can't even say it. Proverbial Clayton Bigsby, Uncle Ruckus, as the black white supremacist, none other than Sheriff David Clarke, as he explains why he feels like people need to go with a plan. If they're going to shoot somebody, make sure that they go with a plan. They're going to shoot a Black Lives Matter protester. Make sure you're prepared with a plan, because he's done condoning this violence. He's done oh, no. He said he's done condemning this violence. Take a listen in.
You've talked about it. You've called radio stations, been interviewed about it. The question is, when is government going to do something? Inaction is not a plan. You know what happens with inaction? People take the law into their own hands. Government is leaving them no choice. No choice. I don't advocate for some of the stuff that's starting to happen, but I'm certainly done. I am through with condemning it. I'm done with that. I'm just telling people, hey, you're on your own. Think about it, have a plan, act reasonably. You have to act reasonably. And you're going to have to articulate what you did afterwards. But you can't have government officials and law enforcement executives telling people, do not take the law into your own hands. You're forcing them to. If a guy is breaking in to the business, or a mob breaking into a business and the guy's inside, the owner, was he supposed to stand by and just let it happen?
Okay, so this is the absurdity, right? It's absurd, but it also sounds reasonable in the framing that he's giving it. But the framing that he's giving it does not reflect the reality of what's been happening on the ground. What's been happening on the ground are vigilantes who have ideations of killing people, come from out of town, not to protect their personal property, but underneath the auspices of protecting someone else's property, and using that as an occasion to have confrontations with protesters that they politically disagree with. And then when that confrontation escalates, then they kill somebody. That's the real scenario. What David Clarke is saying is not the real scenario in any of these cases of the protest. Because in the framework that this is really, really slick propaganda. He's trying to say, I'm tired of condemning it. I'm not going to approve of it, but I'm not going to condemn it. Basically saying, I'm not going to judge you. That's incitement, number one. He's pushing people to do it. Number two, he's creating a scenario in their mind that, yeah, we are justified because the law isn't doing what they're supposed to do. How the hell is the law not doing what they're supposed to do when every single night we see the troops out like Gestapo, like the damn stormtroopers? So it's a second lie that's in there. It sounds reasonable when you first pass it, but once you break it apart, it's like, wait a minute. This is the height of dangerous, violence-inciting propaganda because, number one, this is not the scenario that ever happens. Number two, it's completely false that the police are not there in full force. And then he says, well, then you got to have a plan. Make sure that you have a plan. So he's giving them a strategy to do this. I don't know what's going to become of this country. And a very sad, what I'm getting ready to say is very sad. But the best thing, no, let me rephrase that. There's a confrontation that's coming. And I think the only way to stop that confrontation is for one side to lay down and acquiesce. And as it stands right now, it doesn't look like that's going to be them. And what they have counted on for years is for it to be us, the liberals, the progressives primarily. Liberals are collaborators in a lot of cases. But those of us who are fighting for liberation and justice, however you define it, it's been us that have capitulated because we want to keep the peace. It's definitely been Democrats and liberals who capitulate, but it's never been in this country the right, the conservative movement in this country that has capitulated only during and after the Civil War. We had literally crushed them. So it's a sad state of affairs to see that we're on a collision course. Everybody, nobody, I mean, Joe Biden might be the only person who's out there saying, let's all settle down. But with his let's all settle down, that means that we capitulate, that we give in, and that we fold. We stop fighting for justice in a significant fashion, and we kind of just accept America the way it is. So it's extremely depressing to think that perhaps the only way we have peace in the future is if one side capitulates, and that looks like it. Historically, it's always been us, with the exception of the Civil War, where we had to kill them and crush them. And if you're a person like me who would rather be in the backyard barbecuing while my kids jump on the trampoline, it's a very depressing state of affairs to think that the only way that we may be able to get justice and liberation in this country is through forms that are not peaceful. Because everyone on their side is gearing up to go to war with us. And all we're trying to say is, bitch, stop killing us. Stop the police state. Could you stop killing us? And to them, that says, oh, you declare war. Really think about that. You have just declared war on us because you want the police to stop killing you. You see the unbelievably asymmetrical fuckery that goes on in this country? Asinine.